Alright everybody, thanks for tuning in for a minute. In this video I'm just going to be talking real quick about my impressions of the Metal Gear Survive beta, which ends today. I'd be surprised if it's not over with yet. I didn't do everything that the beta had to offer. I did a couple of the missions. It's tower defense. It's pretty much what we were shown in the videos that did come out. So let's see. With that said, I guess I'll just go down the list. I'm not going to list all the pros and then all the cons together. I'll kind of like bounce back and forth. These were just my initial. It's not going to include everything, just the stuff that stuck out at me. So I'll start off with probably what is the best thing. Okay, maybe I should lead up to this, but I'm going to open with it. The best thing about the game. It has very good controls. And what that means exactly is not that the controls are smooth, because I will get into that, but what it means is that the controller is managed very well. There's a lot that you can do in this game. Before I get into the controls, what is this game? This is basically a tower defense game with, I guess people call them zombies. They're more like these just weird humanoid creature things. They don't really give me the zombie impressions. One of them kind of looks like a giant body with like a pumpkin from the shoulders up. That doesn't really look like a zombie to me. And you basically, you drill for energy. These zombies, or whatever they are, they come after your drill thing, which is the tower defense part, and you have to stop them from attacking it, because if it takes too much damage, you lose. You have to survive the time limit. Okay, so the controls. So there's a lot that you can do. There's movement, there's readying ranged weapons, there's readying melee weapons, there's placing fortifications, throwing projectile weapons, crouching, laying prone, sprinting. There's a lot that you can do. And instead of it being a garbled mess, they actually found a way to make it work really well. I mean, they took a lot of it from Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. They kind of like ironed out even more of the wrinkles, I would say, that I didn't even know were there. So to kind of just like give you an idea on, because I would show you, but some of my recording equipment broke over the weekend, so unfortunately I can't record me and the game at the same time. But just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So left and right on the D-pad, which you probably can't see it because it's a black controller, would cycle through your secondary, like your gadgets and your ranged weapons and what, not ranged, like your projectile ones, like a grenade. If you hold that direction, then you can instead, you can select. It'll bring up a wheel. You can select what it is that you want from that wheel instead of going through them one at a time. And then to use it, you would just use the corresponding bumper. You know, throw a grenade, you'd hold this. And then you could switch between underhand or overhand, which will change how far you throw it. It'll give you a little. And then you release and it throws it. So I have mine set up so my fortifications are on the left, so I can cycle through them. Or I can hold it down, select one with the analog stick, and then you hold down the left bumper and to put down a fence or a turret or something. It took me a minute to learn it, but it works really well. That's probably one bad thing about the game, is it is a beta. They just kind of dump you right in, and they don't teach you how to play. You have to figure it all out yourself, which doesn't, it's weird because it doesn't take long to figure it out, but I would still describe it as a hurdle. You know, you'd be surprised. You can figure it out in just like a game or two, how to play. But it's still overwhelming. You know, it was kind of one of those things where I was like, I don't really want to. You know, I sound like an old man. I was like, where's my tutorial at? You know, which is crazy because back in the day, you didn't get tutorials. So the controls are good. Now, so here's the flip side of that. So for example, the gameplay for the most part when you begin is pretty slow. You start out with the weakest enemies. They move really slowly. You have plenty of time to do the things that you need to do. And shooting at them, stabbing them, whatever, it's not a problem because it's all progressing very gradually. As the combat ramps up and you start getting into the harder enemies, at least in the beta, that will actually jump around. Imagine like a ninja zombie with like a almost looks like a beak thing. It's weird. I feel like the controls don't really what's the word I'm looking for here? They don't really work well with that. Like, that enemy can actually be more formidable, not because they're dangerous, but because you can't keep up with. They'll jump and you're like, where did he go? And to give older listeners or watchers, viewers, an example of what I mean is, like, just think of the old survival horror games where you had to turn in place. So you would see something dangerous coming and you're like, you couldn't just run. You know what I mean? You had to be like, uh-oh, gotta turn. Oh, okay, here we go. It's like you had to turn in place first. It's like Batman, before he could turn his head. Like, can you imagine if Batman were a game and he'd be like, look, man, this isn't really working. I need to be, why can't I turn my head? Why can't I? No, you gotta look. So, it's like a neck brace. Was Batman injured? Is that what was really going on? Anyways, so I feel like that was the only problem, is that shooting things works fine because it's slow. But when stuff starts getting really hectic, especially when enemies do get up close to you, I feel like something can just kind of go like this. And your character acts like they just got decked by Rocky Balboa or something. They're, So, to kind of come back over to the good side, the crafting in the game. That's fun. It took a little while to learn what I was doing. You have to find ingredients, which is the scavenging part, which they usually give you a couple minutes to do that before a wave starts. And then you go to a crafting table. You can build fences, turrets, traps. All those. That's fun. It takes. There's a lot of tabs and a lot of icons and a lot of information to digest, and it can be kind of overwhelming. But once you get the hang of it, which again, it only takes a game or 2, 3 tops, and I would say that you kind of get it. There's a lot of materials. This isn't one of those games where it's like you get oil and rags. There's bottles, there's rags, there's, I think, ceramics, there's wires, there's all kinds of components that go into crafting items, which is fun. And another thing that's a lot of fun is you can craft things in your central hub and take them with you on the mission. So you can kind of start with like a full gas tank, so to speak. You don't have to run around at the beginning. Although there might be missions like that in the actual game where you're not allowed to take stuff with you. I don't doubt it. You have to use what's on the field. But for the beta, you can like gear up. It's kind of like going in with a full stomach. I should have just said like a, I don't know, all the tools in your, well, I don't know. The bad side to the crafting. This is something that I hope gets fixed, because I noticed that it affected me even in just the short time that I played the beta. Okay, so you can craft fences and turrets and things and whatnot. And you can put them down, fences here, turrets there, whatever. And other players have the option to destroy the things that you have created. And I swear, I can't tell you how many times I would put a bunch of fences where I knew, because I'd played the map before, that enemies were going to come from. And then I turn around and they're gone. And I'm like, wait a minute. Where did all that crap go that I just made? Now, I understand that it is important that players have the option and the ability to manipulate objects that they didn't create, just because there are people out there who will be like, look, I put a turret in a doorway and now nobody can go through. Because, believe me, there are people who have the internet and pay for Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus, and they buy games like this, and that's what they do. They spend money to be a pain in the butt. I remember a long time ago I was playing Left 4 Dead, and I think there's one map where you climb out of a manhole, I think, and you're at a hospital, and the zombies, if you're playing multiplayer, can actually push a car or a dumpster or something right over the manhole, and you can't climb out. Talk about an oversight. And I think it's the hunter that can do that. He can just, like, claw a dumpster and move it right. Yeah, so But to give you an idea of what I'm talking about is in Gears of War 4, when you're playing Horde mode, you can make turrets and weapon lockers and whatnot. And other players can move them, but they can't destroy them. I don't even think the player can destroy them. I don't remember. So, and I think that's how this should be. Like, okay, maybe give players the ability to move stuff that others have made, but not demolish it. Because I would put a turret down, and I'd turn my back, and then it's like, wait, where did it go? Or a fence, you know, someone's like, I don't want the fence there! Delete! You know, and it's just like... So, I feel like that needs to be fixed. Okay, and this will be the last good thing that I have to say about it, and then the rest of it's kind of just not so good. The music is good. I think from atmospherical to, you know, when the action starts to heat up, even just during when you're prepping for the next wave, the music is really good. It's a pleasure to listen to. Unfortunately, what's left is just a couple bad things. The level cap is really low. I know that this is a beta. It even says when you hit the level cap that it is for the beta test. But it did not take long to get there. I hope you don't level up so quickly and so easily in the final product. Just because, I mean, dang, what do we have to play this beta? Like 3 days? And I feel like after 3 games, I had hit the level cap. It's bad. And the skills, I know that when you play this, you are, I believe, the survivor class. And I feel like the skills that go along with the class are just very bland and uninspired. So you have different stats that you can level up when you're playing. You have strength, vitality, dexterity, and endurance. And they do different things. Like one will give you more stamina, one will give you more life, one will increase how fast you move, and the other one will increase like your close quarter combat strength. So you have like the base stats. But then when you start getting into the skills, they're kind of just, it's like the one same skill, but they change what weapon it works with. Like you get, just to read it off to you right now, so for strength, the first skill, top left corner, increases the number of combo attacks you can do with a one-handed weapon. And then if you move down to the vitality line, it's the number of combo attacks with a thrusting weapon. And then if you go to dexterity, it's two-handed, and if you go to endurance, it's heavy. And then it's the same exact thing in the next column, only you can unleash more powerful attacks with one-handed, two-handed, heavy, thrusting. You know, next column, perform a special attack with a one-handed weapon. Thrusting, two-handed, you know, heavy. It's like, they made all these skills, and really they're just, what, 4 weapons, and they do the same thing, but you have to learn them separately. But then there are skills you get into that actually do different things. Like you can sidestep while you have your weapon readied. If you move the analog stick and hit A, you will move to the side. That's helpful. You can shove enemies, you can trip them. There's stomping attacks you can do on downed enemies. You can parry. There's one weird skill mixed in with all these that you can gather materials faster. So there are some skills, but I feel like they wasted this huge chunk on just like 1 or 2 things, but they spread it out all over these different weapons. So hopefully, I mean, I don't doubt there will be different classes, because why would they list Survivor as a class? So hopefully the ones that are in the final product won't be as boring. But then usually the starting one is meant to be boring. But hopefully the other ones actually have skills where you're like, oh wow, I want to get my hands on that. You know, I want to have like a skill point and be torn between like one skill or another. Whereas like the whole middle thing, I'm just like, I don't want any of those. So the hub. I'm going to end on this one, because the hub is simultaneously cool and not cool. So the hub is where you spend your time when you're not on missions. It's basically where you craft, you change how your gear looks, you customize stuff, you cook, make ammo, Just think of it as the dashboard for the game. But unfortunately, it's just basically like a whitish gray, kind of like an ash gray room. Kind of reminds me of like the Animus from the Assassin's Creed games, only not as bright. Now the cool things about it is you can see like your loadout projected in like up on the wall. It's huge. You can see your character, your level, everything you've got equipped. When you're in a squad, you can see their stuff. That's cool. When you've got a mission selected, you can see the map, the level. Everything is like projected up on these huge walls, which is cool. But when people were originally talking about how this game was just a rehash, it's just taking stuff from Metal Gear Solid 5, which it does, and, you know, just kind of like drag it on over into this game and paste it, this only makes that feel worse because they didn't even create like a main hub. So I hope this isn't what is in the final game, just because when it comes to like farming and base building and everything, that's going to feel pretty stupid if you're doing it in like a computer generated like AI room. You know what I mean? Oh, I have a farm. Where is it? Well, you go over there and you click on that window and it opens. Oh. Don't you need dirt to grow plants and stuff? Well, yeah, the dirt will come up out of the VR floor, the fertilizer. What? I don't know. The hub to me was, I don't think it helped the game. So what is my final thoughts just based off the beta? So whereas I was very much looking forward to the game before, and this, let's say over here, is you don't care about it at all. Now, unfortunately, my opinion has kind of come back this way just a little. I'm still looking forward to it, but I'm a little skeptical now only because, like, I've got to play it, and maybe it could be just because I'm not a huge tower defense fan. I feel like games like this, games like Fortnite, they're fun in like piecemeal. They're fun where you play one or two missions and then you're like good for the rest of the day. Because no matter what level you change to, it's going to be the same thing. You're drilling for resources. You got to defend the damn thing from zombies or whatever. Gameplay doesn't really seem to change no matter where you go. Unless they have some riveting stealth missions in the final product, a good story in the final product, to give this game a little more personality. Because I would say that's what it's missing. If anybody has ever played a game before or watched a movie before or read a book before where you thought, you're like, wait a minute, did I miss something in the beginning? Should I go back and start over? I think I missed something critical. That's how this beta felt. It felt like I missed something. It is what it is. It's Metal Gear Solid 5 co-op. Hopefully the final product will have it, you know? But whereas this would have been something that I outright bought before, I think now I'm just going to see how it turns out before I make up my mind. It's still something that I could buy, but I think I'm going to let it hit the market first and then make up my mind from there, depending on how much work has been put into the final product. But I just want to clarify that it's not a bad game. It just might not be for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to talk trash about it. It's a game. It worked fine. That's one thing I say about the beta. I only got kicked from one game. So it just might not be my cup of tea. You know, but a lot of people might have a freaking blast with this game. Okay, so with that said, if you played the beta, let me know what you think. If you haven't, are you looking forward to this game? If you're not, let me know that too. Anyways, most importantly, just thank you for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you next time.